You had mentioned the sensitive heart. I just finished your book, Healing the Sensitive Heart. If you want a book on relationships, read Healing the Sensitive Heart. As a therapist, I recommend it, and personally, I wish I found this years ago
Oh, you're so
when
sweet.
I was still dating. Um, Now, you talk about childhood wounds having an effect on our adult relationships. Can you talk more about that and a little bit about what that book is about?
Yeah.
What inspired you?
Yeah, so it's important to understand that a sensitive heart does not necessarily correlate exactly with being super sensitive. Some people can be very sensitive, but a sensitive hearted person is somebody who's been wounded along the way in childhood, and their heart becomes tender, and they're maybe doubtful of themselves, low self esteem, whether they've been abused or neglected or just kind of ignored. There's a lot of things that can be wounding to children. And when we think about how little children are, and if you have these parents or caregivers who really don't have your best interest at heart or are too busy and preoccupied with their own emotional wounds, they're not able to be there for you. That's what creates a sensitive heart. So it's important to recognize what those wounds are and heal them. And how we heal them is by learning about what they are, identifying them, making a relationship and a connection to your inner child or to your vulnerable self, and learning how those wounds become a magnet for attracting people of the same. So what we really want in life is a different outcome if we didn't have a good go in childhood. But what we end up doing is attracting people with the same qualities and then wondering, how did we end up so unhappy again?
Got it. Got it. Now you really do a great job of telling the reader how they can heal the wounds. Are there some first steps for people who are feeling a little bit, say, low self-esteem? They keep attracting the same person, someone who reminds them of their father or their mother. They say, gosh, I can't get any luck. How can they start?
Let's say like a child who has a father who's a big poker and a teaser and is constantly, playing around, and the child actually feels insulted and like, why can't my dad just be soft and warm and cuddly with me, a protector? Instead, he's actually making me uncomfortable. That we wouldn't call that abuse, but it certainly can create a sense of, can't somebody take me seriously? Can't I actually just be nurtured?
And it depends on the nature of that particular child.
Yeah, the temperament.
The temperament of the
Absolutely.
child.
Yeah.
So I think people don't give themselves that freedom to say, that's just not my temperament.
Right.
Or, I reacted this way to this kind of person differently.
You'll love to see a 3-year-old go look at their dad and say, Dad, it's not my temperament for you to be able to tease me that way. Oh, yeah. Only. Although I will tell you, my daughter, when she was 3 years old, she looks at me and she says, I'm not going outside and I'm not negotiating. Really? I like teaching her big words when
She's your daughter.
Yeah. If she understood what that word was, she'd use it absolutely appropriately. So anyway, I don't want people to get all nervous here about, childhood affecting everything that happens in your adult life, but it does have a big influence. We have to connect the dots. So healing that shame is an important step. Recognizing that you are not alone in this. So many people struggle with these things, but you have to learn how to take responsibility. Another really important part of healing is to recognize where you are on the continuum of having what I call a bruised heart versus a sensitive heart versus a thriving heart. And with a bruised heart, basically feeling like a victim all the time. And even though you've grown up, you're independent, you have your own life, you're still determined by your sense of being a victim as a child. And it's important to keep on moving on the continuum. So the next step is understanding your sensitive heart, which is taking a little bit more responsibility and recognizing that you are a survivor of these things. But again, as a survivor, we're still in a minimal security prison. Thriving is when we're free, when we have choices, when we can do things because we're choosing to do things and we're not determined by the events of our childhood or of our past.
And it's about taking responsibility for yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's really what we foster in our clients is as an adult, not living as an emotional child.
Absolutely. So. And when we're thriving, we're so much more attractive to the people we're trying to attract because we can be independent, we can be solid in our own selves, but we're then open and ready to invite love because we're not afraid of it. Because we also recognize that if it goes south, we get out.
And it's not the end of things.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly. We're not devastated. We have a solid sense of ourselves. Good. Well, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just going to hold up the book. So, for
Okay.
those of you, Healing the Sensitive Heart, I recommend this for anybody dealing with intimate relationships and self-understanding. Can you tell the audience where they can find out more about your other books and also about your media appearances?
Yeah, probably the best place is my website, which is www.drdebraonline.com, DRDEBRA online.com. Do we even have to say the www anymore?
I guess I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so drdebraonline.com,
Good.
and there's all kinds of media appearances on there and my books and information about my practice and all that.
Wonderful. It's a
Yeah.
great, great website. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Deborah.
Thank you.